Welcome, everybody.
Welcome back.
This is Adam Braus.
And Scott Maupin. You're listening to Solutions from the Multiverse.
We've got solutions delivered to your ears weekly.
Free of charge.
Free.
We're happy to do it.
We're providing it as a public service.
No one is holding a gun to our head making us do this.
Nope.
This is our... I ran out of words.
It's the afternoon. We just are spending our
totally
afternoon doing this. Friday afternoon.
But yeah, it's good to be back outside.
Yep, back outside.
Continuing the outside cast streak.
Yes. The clouds are rushing by above us.
It's gorgeous. It's a great day.
It's gorgeous. I have some crazy ideas.
I was just going to ask, what do you got for me today, Adam?
Okay. This is crazy. I came up with this very fresh. So it's I'm ready for criticism because it's a little crazy and it's very fresh. I haven't had time to sort of mull over it, talk to anyone else about it or anything. So
we'll work through it together. We'll see what's up.
Okay. When you turn 62, you retire, right?
Okay.
The solution is when you turn 61, or maybe we just say anytime after 60, or anytime you want to retire, basically, you then are required to do a year of civil service.
Okay.
And that unlocks like your retirement.
Before you can draw from...
Yeah, and maybe you can do it even when you're 18. Anyways, it's like you're basically, to get your Social Security and your Medicare when you're old, you have to do a year of civil service.
Okay.
And then you can do it any time in your life, maybe.
Okay, so you can get that knocked out of the way.
Well, now I'm changing but just, I like this because I thought about this idea that a lot of people heard already, which is let's have a year of mandatory civil military service when you're 18. And I'm like, that's cool, but like, we're America. We got to do things. We can't just do things the same way as everybody else. Germany, Switzerland, Israel, Singapore, they all have this.
Right.
But what if we were like, yeah, but we're America, so we do it a different way, which is you can just do it any time. So you could take a year off from work and you could do it when you're 35, or you could do it when you're like the year after you are going to retire, the year before you retire. And then, yeah.
You're doing like a Social Security year.
Yeah.
In your 30s.
And Medicare too. Then you get, that gives you your or
benefits.
Maybe just Social Security. It's like, yeah, you don't get Social Security.
Do my benefits year.
Yeah. Unless you're like on disability, I guess, or something, right? Like if you were ill or sick or old or something, you couldn't do it.
Well, no, we could just force people to do a different kind of civil service, I'm sure.
That's true. They could do something they're capable of.
Very minimal, but still force it to get the idea across.
Yeah.
Forced.
It's all about the compulsion. No. It's all about the mandatoriness.
They're like, I know you paid into this, so I know legally it's your money, but I'm going to make you do some jumping through hoops for it.
Yeah. Well, there's something about putting your actual time into it, not just your money.
So I get the impulse is to get everybody more involved in the workforce, which kind of puts everybody with skin in the game,
Yeah.
Or not the workforce, but I mean the civil
country.
Yeah. In working toward like volunteering or whatever for a greater thing.
Right. I got this idea because I went to give blood. And then after I gave blood, there was like there's this nice lady and this nice man standing behind the cookie counter. And they were like giving out cookies and asking me how I was. And I was like, great. And I was like, what are you guys doing here? They're like, oh, we're retirees and we volunteer here because this is a great place to volunteer. And it was like, that's it. And they were just handing out cookies and chatting.
So take them. Snap them up.
So I was like, well, shoot, why don't we, because also I thought, because my dad retired. And then I learned all about retirement. And did you know the year after you retire is one of the most dangerous years of your life? People die.
No.
Yes, they die the year after they retire.
Because they go running with the bulls in Spain?
That's right. They go to Pamplona.
You shouldn't do that. You should not do that after you retire.
Yeah,
that's a young person's
There's other
game.
things too. They get their rice rocket motorcycle that they've always wanted.
The bucket list, all the dangerous things that they should have done when they were in their 20s. And now they're in their 60s and they're way more dangerous.
Yeah, they should do it when they're young and, sharper eyesight and faster reflexes.
Less brittle bones.
Those lime green Kawasaki rice rocket motorcycles are too much to handle.
Turns out
sometimes
base jumping does sort of have an age limit somewhere in the later years.
That's right. That's what they all do. So
I think so.
So, but but this would tame all of that down because they'd be doing their civil service. They wouldn't be able to go.
But I was joking. But I'm really curious. There. Why is it the most dangerous year?
It's a very dangerous year. People, I can only extrapolate from the statistic I read, which is that a lot of people die that year. The first year you're born and the year you retire are like the two most dangerous years of your life. And it's because you go from doing like the same thing every day with the same routine and the same everything to like stopping all of that. It's a huge transition, and older people aren't good at transitions.
Yeah. Well,
it's harder.
And just going to a place where you feel like you don't have an agenda, you don't have a purpose or a function anymore. Right. A lot of people that can just hit, like that's what they've been using as their engine for so long,
right?
That to suddenly switch it up, it doesn't work, and they kind of lose kind of their motivation and their forward momentum and stuff. I've seen that. There's a lot of push to keep like in older facilities and keep activities for people who are retired for that very reason, you know, to stay active and keep doing stuff so that you don't just kind of sit and wait. Right.
And something you're building towards. Oh, I'm going to get better at this skill. I'm going to get more, you know, and that you're contributing, you know, I don't know. And then you could do it when you're 18 too. So I like the idea of it just being like a little slider year that you could just slide anywhere and you could just fit it in.
I like that because I mean, some of the stuff that we have to do in this country mandatorily anyway, I'm not a fan. Having to register for the draft when I was 18, I was like, I am not a fan of this, and this is mandatory. And they're like, yeah, did you register to vote? Jail. Okay, well then you have to do. This is part of it.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh wow, but this is the sort
only
of like
for men,
a sort
or
of
do women do it now too?
I'm actually not sure.
I'm not
when
sure
I was in high school, it was only
just
men.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be surprised if that was the same case. But
yeah,
I haven't heard of a huge switch. But like, I like the idea of kind of using that mechanism in a positive way, as long as it's not like just a crushing boot of old people, you know, to be like,
maybe you just
make them work, or they get no bread.
Maybe you just get like another additional $100 a month on your Social Security checks if you do it.
You kind of level up your Social Security.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. You just get a rider, like a little bonus.
I think that's cool. The heart of it isn't to find a way to take everything away from some people, but rather to like
let everyone kind of give back. Yeah. No. Let's have it be like, if you did a year of civil service anytime between 14, we can reference back to the 14 voting, anytime between 14 and 62, or even into your retirement, if you do a year, then boom, you get a little bump in your Social Security check.
The next level of
that's cool. I like that.
And I mean, obviously the bump would have to be less than the value of your work for that year or whatever, so that we don't. Yeah,
it could be like $100 a month more per year or per month, which means it's only going to be $1,200 a year. Sure. But you know, your work is probably worth 20 or 30,000.
But also the fulfilling part of having a place to be after you feel like the place that you've been isn't available to you anymore. You know, a place to go and a place to do stuff and be like, you know what, somebody wants me. I have a purpose. I can fulfill it. I mean, you have to look away from it being like, I have to do this now in order to get anything.
Right, no, you don't want that.
But that's available to people who want to level up and kind of transition more slowly. Yeah. I like that,
And there's also the opportunity. I was just thinking, you know, you can go and hand out cookies at the Red Cross for blood donors. That's obviously a pretty low, I mean, it's great. It's low impact, it's low whatever. But what about all that cognitive, we have this huge cognitive like drop off. These retired people have so much knowledge, and then they're just like, okay, you're retired, bye. All that knowledge just walks out the door. If there was this core of civil service that was being built, you could have people when they register for it, be like, here's my like skills. I have 20 years experience in accounting and 10 years experience, and I'm a mother and I'm a father, and I have all this different experience. And then it would actually then open up this pool of free labor for businesses, for parents, for young, you know, any place in society could just, you know, search on that and find people who are willing to work for you for a year for free. Right? It's amazing. You know?
I don't know that you should position. You'd be like, I need a new nanny for a year. Well, so I'll get.
I was thinking more like someone who could advise young parents on how to be a good parent. Right? Or how to, like an executive guy who ran businesses for 40 years, and then now he can be a business mentor to all these people, you know. So that cognitive, you wouldn't have this total like cognitive loss either from the workforce. You'd have it come in and like be, it's almost like elders in an archaic society are still there, they're not doing the hunting or doing the gathering or something, but they're still there to like advise and bring their wisdom from like their many hunts that they did for decades.
And
decades.
Old people love telling people how to do stuff.
I know.
How they did it better in their day.
How they did it better.
It would be a win-win.
I mean, we're not
They
even
get to
that
go
old,
all
and I
day to
already do that. We already do that just vehemently. Like,
no,
in the 90s, it was better. There was no Twitter. 90s were better. I like it. I like this too, that the civil service would be intergenerational too. So when I think about the like, oh, we got to mandate 18-year-olds have to do it. I like that idea. I like that idea. But I also kind of think, well, let's give people the freedom to choose when they want to do it. Like someone might be 18 and be like, screw that. I don't want to do that right now. I want to go, I'm on some other track. I want to go right into this thing. I want to go right to school, or I want to go right do this. But then maybe when they get out of school, they do a job, maybe they kind of burn out of the job. Now they want to transition. They could go and do their year then, right? And and you know, they could work for USAID abroad, or they could work for Peace Corps, or they could, but a short one, like just a year instead of the 2 years. They could work for AmeriCorps domestically, or there could be this new organization that gets started federally that helps organize all these civil servant years.
And if we get young people doing this, imagine how many of those young people don't live to be old people, and then we basically get a free year of work.
Wow.
The country gets it.
Wow.
That's not where you were headed. That's not
trying to that's horrible. Scott, Scott, you take it to the dark places. I feel like we're in a dark place now.
I would never do
such a dark place.
No, I did have an idea though. You could take and do complete alternate versions of current like institutions. So like imagine the DMV, and then the old DMV that's entirely staffed by like retirees. So if you want to go to the DMV and get it done, get quick, not wait a long time, go to the regular DMV. If you want to
go to the elder DMV,
have conversations, sit and chat with the person who's helping you out, listen to stories, all that, you go to the old DMV.
It's the old timey DMV.
Yeah,
it's
you can create
ye old
parallel
DMV.
Institutions that
where things are just slower.
People can have it their way.
So you're suggesting the DMV should be slower.
No, I'm saying you should have a slower version of it so that kind of like the highway where you have a faster lane. Yeah. And so then the regular DMV becomes the fast one, because anyone who wants to talk is going to want to go to the old DMV.
Right. I mean, that's the problem I always see at DMVs is too many in-depth conversations happening.
See, that's the
main problem.
This is why I'm not the generator of solutions, because my solutions are like, what about more DMVs? Is that
longer
good?
lines of the DMV?
Can we no,
because then people will talk more and it'll be friendlier. What?
Yeah, you could spend more time in the DMV
where you want to be.
Just what everyone always wanted.
Gosh, we're really going like. This is so like developing in my, like, as we talk about it, like at first I was just like, how about everyone can retire a year earlier and then, but if they do this year of social service or something, but now it's like, no, let's make it so that 18-year-olds could do it, or 14-year-olds could, maybe we should do 18, whatever. 18-year-olds can do it, or they can go all the way through their whole lives. They can do it at any point they want. Because there's so many times in people's lives where they're like, I'm in transition. I don't want to work at my job, but I do want to I want time to think, you know. You could even
take your benefits year then.
You could, and you could even get paid your Social Security stipend while you're doing it. So like if you're 35.
Oh, so then you don't just have to go the entire year
on nothing,
off of like whatever you've got squirreled away.
So when you're 35, you would start doing your service year, your Social Security year. And then during that year, you'd get $1,600 a month or whatever.
Honestly,
which is like your Social Security check.
Yeah, and honestly, if somebody in a younger age got a Social Security check for a month, for a year, and had to sort of live on a Social Security type of income for a year, they would probably have a better understanding of some of the challenges and issues that the retired ages are facing, and like what they go through. You would you would both be ready for it better when it's really your turn to be living on that, and you'd be more compassionate and understanding of the challenges that group is facing.
And you would have been in a pool, like when you signed up for it, you would have been interacting with people who all were of multiple generations. So instead of being like, oh, I was in a battalion of the civil service at 18, and so all the other battalions were just 18-year-olds, which has its own strengths. But it's even cooler to say, yeah, my sort of battalion of the civil service was actually all these different people of all different ages, and actually half of them were 65-year-olds or 62-year-olds.
Yeah, like,
and I got mentorship from them, and I got to understand about their lives and like what life. They told me stories when we went to the DMV together.
Which one?
Yeah, which DMV? The slow one, of course.
Of course.
I guess we often talk about who's going to pay for it, how we implement it, that kind of stuff. I mean, I guess people want to do what the right wing wants to do, what they call like entitlements reform, which basically means just like stripping away, things that people they think don't really deserve, or something.
Right.
Whereas the left wing generally, well, nowadays we have kind of the corporate left wing, which also kind of wants to limit entitlements. And then the more progressive sort of social democrat left wing, which just wants to give people a lot of stuff, give people a lot of more advantages, just by dint of being citizens, just so sort of like almost citizen dividends. So anyways, depending on how you think about it, I feel like corporate Democrats could say, hey, no, you do deserve, you're getting something you deserve because you're paying, you're working for it, and therefore you get this benefit. And so we're actually just creating more freedom, more options for people. And we're also creating something that's like, I think maybe the right wingers could be convinced of it too, because it's like civil service. It's like working for America. You could do the military for it, right? So you could go to the military for a year, and that would cover this as well.
Yeah.
So the more right wing people might say, hey, this is going to help us recruit for the military. This is patriotic. This is like working for America. Skills based, like you could probably develop a skill while you were doing it. But then the left wing could do it, because, and then the progressive sort of left wing would probably like it because it's like you'd increase Social Security payouts for it,
right?
And also you'd get all those workers could come and help fuel, like childcare or elder care or kindergartens or
wherever you need
workers,
hand.
right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So it kind of would create a kind of pool of workers to help with poverty alleviation and with social services and stuff. So I think there could be a pretty broad coalition around it.
It is interesting to think of having to figure out a way to sell like something that benefits, old people or retired class so much here, because I did live for a long time in Japan where that is just a culture where taking care of your elders is one of the things that's baked in. It's just baked in.
Yeah.
And it's not a thing you have to sell people. It's like a thing where they're like, of course. What do you,
right.
What are we, monsters? What are you talking about?
We could also make, this is another part of it. We could also make it so that so say you do your civil service year right when you retire. So you turn 61 or 62
right,
and you retire. And then you're like, this is cool. Betty, my wife, I'm going to go do this civil service year. And she's like, thank God he'll be out of the house. He'll be healthy. He'll be looked after. Other people will be around. He'll make new friends. It'll be great for Don. This is Don and Betty. They
Does
live
Don
together.
have to like go somewhere far away to do this, or just nearby? Okay.
Yeah, there'll be offices everywhere because everyone's doing it. So
Don's not gone for a year, like deployment. Don comes home every night.
Of course, yeah.
And Betty gets to see Don.
because everyone's doing it. So, you need these offices everywhere.
Okay.
And you just report in, and then they deploy you wherever to whatever thing you're going to go do. There might be even some remote work that you could do.
Sure.
I mean, it's 2022.
Yeah.
Remote work is in. So Don goes out and does this. I bet you, and you could make it this way, Don likes it so much, he wants to keep doing it the next year. He wants to just do it as a volunteer thing after that. And we could make that possibility. So people can keep doing it if they want. They can actually have a whole encore career inside this civil service after their retirement.
Now, do you keep doing it? Does that keep leveling up your benefits?
That's
sort
a
of
good
thing?
question. I don't know.
In a seniority situation?
Maybe.
I mean, government
1 or 2
government
years.
jobs have that sort of thing already set up.
Sure,
Education jobs have that.
Yeah, maybe it does keep kind of bumping you up a little bit. It's all pretty nominal.
It's nominal, but it's
and then
just
it probably
like,
maxes out.
It's not. It's just a thing where it's not like
you're not like pulling in 5,000 a
year
year from Social Security because you've been doing this for 10 years, from 62 to 72, and now you're like just living like a boss.
No one's like the 95-year-old person who's getting a Rolex every month from their volunteering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there's probably some max out, but why not give you a little kind of a bump as you go up?
Just an appreciation thing to say, like, it's not nothing that you keep doing this. Thank you.
And you can be asked to like not come back too. Maybe like, okay, no, we've had enough of Don. Like, thank you, Don, for your service, but Time to figure out something else.
Don's like, I want to be the forward for the Warriors, and I want to dunk the basketball. And they're like, Don, you're 61. We think it's not happening this year or next year. We're going to have to say no thank you.
I can think of so many people that this would be like such a cool... You could build, because it's essentially a mutual aid society that you're building, right? That's funded sort of supported by the federal government, but it really is just mutual aid.
Kind of mandated compassion.
Yeah, exactly,
which is a weird thing to think of, but
must
sort of works because, I mean, it works with children too. When you're like, hey,
share,
be nice to each other.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, and they figure it out, you know?
Yeah. Oh, God, I guess. Fine. I'll share.
No, I like this though. I think giving people the year requirement and the flexibility to kind of like take it whenever without people thinking, I mean, people now will be like, I need a mental health year to step away from whatever my stress thing is. And without any stigma to be like, you know what?
I'm going to do my civil service year.
I'm doing my year.
Yeah.
I'll come back.
And people
to the
would be like,
next.
people would be like, salute you. You know, it's almost like, you know, the way we say like salute the troops, which is great because the troops are out there, you know, carrying, you know, trooping it up. So what about they got troops. So it would be so cool for there to be like, well, I'm one of the civil troops. Like you could get that same respect.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe not the same respect because maybe it's not as difficult as being like in the shit in Iraq or something. But it's
a little appreciation,
it's appreciation
because people know you're doing.
Yeah, you're doing something for the country.
Yeah, you're sort of giving back at this time.
Yeah, that's cool. And you're getting a little bit of a benefit, but the benefit's so far in the distance. It's like, I'm 30 or I'm 40 or I'm 22 or something, and I'm doing this year.
Sure.
And I know that when I'm 62, I'll make $100 more a month. It's like, get out of here.
It's not.
You're not doing it for that.
That's not the reason
point.
at that age.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. But it still gives you a kind of like you're getting paid to do something, so it kind of checks boxes for like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
For people and makes people feel like it's worth it. Maybe it gives you a life. You were saying this dark thing about if they die, then nothing. Maybe it gives you a federal life insurance policy. Maybe if you do it, you get a $25,000 life insurance policy. And now, so if you do it and then you die, $25,000 goes to your beneficiary. Whatever beneficiary
I was joking around. I don't need you to figure out a way
got
to
me. My
keep
brain
it from
was
being a profit
my wheels were turning. I was like, wait a second, we gotta. That's
the
terrible.
Government will decide to mass kill people
right.
at 60 to not pay out
the
Social Security. No, that's a different sort of society that I think we have.
Soylent Green.
1984 is now 2024. Wait, Soylent Green is people?
Yes. Not Soylent, Soylent Green.
Explain so.
Chocolate Soylent is just maltodextrin. I would not recommend eating that. No. It has maltodextrin in it.
Feels like it would be chalky.
Maltodextrin is like, do you know maltodextrin?
I don't. It sounds like a sugar.
It's a Dexter. Yeah. Dextrose sugar. Maltodextrin. It's like some kind of laboratory made sugar. And they put it in like Ensure and Soylent and all these things, but it actually wreaks havoc on your microbiome. It's like a nuclear radiation for your microbiome. That's why when you drink Soylent, you have not great bowel movements.
This is essential information to put in on this episode.
Yes, very important. I guess Huel, the competitor with Soylent, does not have maltodextrin in it. But I have not tried Huel, and I've also read online that people also have bad, unhealthy BMs.
I've not heard of Huel.
This is about retirees, so we can talk about BMs. I don't know if you know about this, but retirees are happy to tell you about their BMs, which I think is good. I think we should have a more open society about that.
Is it not a problem of just like doing only liquid food?
Maybe there's not enough fiber.
Do something going on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I know Soylent doesn't have any fiber in it, I don't think. But Huel, I think, has some fiber in it. Huel is so ridiculous. I hate the name, but you know, it's actually a contraction. Human fuel.
Isn't that not a good. I don't enjoy that portmanteau.
Not at
That's
all.
not good.
Not at all.
Huel.
Yeah,
that's someone's name.
They could have called it Mule. Man fuel. Well, that would have been a little sexist, but still, Huel. It's a bit strange.
I think they. Yeah, but what am I saying? We came up with. What did we come up with?
EGAD.
EGAD.
Yeah. Well,
we were coming up with bad names. I have no room to criticize other people's namings of things yet.
What do we call this? You were calling it Secret Service year. Maybe you can be in the Secret Service.
Oh, that's a
whole year.
That's a hot topic right now.
Oh, really? Is it in the news?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's not about that.
Rules.
It's just the name you were calling it. I think I see a lot of like retired people volunteering as crossing guards or volunteering at libraries or different things.
Right. Why not? Yeah.
Spaces where I'm like, oh, this is great.
Perfect.
And I think what your idea does is it generates more spaces like that people can inhabit. And it generates more opportunities like that people can take up and feel good giving back and doing stuff and not like a high pressure, like you have to labor force now for us, but I think that's good. I think that really helps out. It helps out the old people primarily. It helps out ancillarily everywhere else. That it touches.
Also, when you did it when you were young, you could get like Congress's medical care. Or like some federal medical care, so that when you take that year off work,
don't they have very, very nice medical
or whatever? I don't know. Congress's or just the VA. Maybe you can go to the VA, right, or whatever. Like basically, just you have free health care during the time when you do it. So if you do it when you're like 24 or 35, before you're retired and you have Medicare,
right?
You would just get Medicare for that year, or whatever. Like some medical care, whether it's Congress or VA or Medicare, you get some federal insurance policy would cover you during that time.
You show up at the VA and you're like, out of the way, pops, I got to get my snowboarding injuries.
Oh, God. Really
pulled my rotator cuff.
Yeah, right. My Kawasaki is
I don't know enough
doing really good.
medical stuff of any variety.
I did a spill on my motorcycle and now I'm out of my way, pops. I don't want to hear about Nam. I got to get to the head of the line.
They're like, how'd you break here? And the old guy's like, I was the base jumping guy. You decided.
Damn it, the base jumping.
I was the last one.
Stop it.
Who decided we shouldn't be base jumping at my age.
Base jumping. This elder base jumping. No, it's cool. I think it supports and gives, dignity, and I think it acts like a kind of buffer around that year, that fragile year, which is that year when you retire. It puts some like buffer sort of, protections around it for Don.
Yeah.
Who might have a heart attack or something that year because he's just sitting around the house and doesn't really know what to do with himself.
Right. It makes the change more gradual and gives you kind of a chance to sort of slow down instead of a full cold stop.
There's a whole dimension of this we're not even talking about, but that's because it's already been talked about other places, in this podcast about new ideas. But like, let's just rehash a little bit. If we had this civil service year and a lot of people took it when they were 18 and a lot of people did military service with it, like, I don't know. I think in Germany, like a third of people do military service and 2/3 do.
Oh, so that would count?
You could do a year in the military,
right.
And then that has all these benefits for the fact that 1% of the population of the United States is in the military, which means that all the decisions that Congress makes about the military deploying and fighting wars and doing all kinds of military stuff falls on just 1% of people. But if a bunch of 18-year-olds went and did the military for a year when they were 18 or when they were 22 or 25 or 27 or 30 or 35, then that burden of the military wouldn't just fall on just 1% of people. It would fall on many more people in society, which would make sort of decisions to go to war or decisions to do things with the military touch many more people and make it much more democratic, which is cool. This is why Jon Stewart actually was in favor of this a few years back. He was very much he was very in favor of like a year of civil service.
Sounds good. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I'm so not the military type. I would choose my year doing almost anything else, service. But other people are not. Other people are not that. So that would give more people. I'm always a fan of giving people skin in the game. Makes them pay attention to what they're doing and have a better understanding of it while they're doing it.
It's kind of like what we said before too about like not trusting institutions in our society, which is like a major problem. Like you get a speeding ticket and you're like, well, I guess speeding tickets work, but pretty much the government doesn't really positively affect you. I mean, everyone got their stimmy. That was the first and kind of only thing that we all experienced as a generation. Like, oh man, I got $1,500 just arrived in the mail. This is weird. The government is like helping me. But even that was like, what does it pay 1 month's rent in San Francisco? It's like, it was nothing in San Francisco.
Yeah,
maybe in other parts of the country it was helpful.
It was an interesting thing, but it was not really substantive for a lot of people, I think.
But this would be like something where when you were 18, you would enter into this space where there were like a whole building you'd go into and there'd be all these people and everyone would be like, we're all here because the government is making this happen. And it's like an opportunity and it's a thing. You don't have to be here. You can do this. You don't even have to do this, but it gives you this opportunity, and it bumps up your Social Security, and it gives you a life insurance policy, and maybe you get a skill, and maybe it helps your resume, and you get to tell people, hey, I'm doing civil service, and people are like, thanks for your support, thanks for your help, because you're kind of this civil troop, And there could be a whole climate aspect to it. That's what they just cut out of this bill. There was going to be this climate corps.
Yeah. And
they cut it out of the bill, the bill they just passed, the Inflation Reduction Act. There was going to be a climate corps, and they cut it out. This could bring that back. This could bring that back.
This could repopulate.
Because you need you need
bodies.
Yeah, you need bodies. Mm-hmm. And even if you're older, elderly person, you can, there's a lot you can do. I mean, maybe you can't go out and plant trees or something, but you can, whatever it is, go and make phone calls to say, hey, how are you going to decarbonize your house? Here's some options you have. You get a heat pump or whatever.
See, if I'm 18, that's where I'm going to spend my year. Instead of a military situation, I'm going to be like, oh, I need to theoretically live on this planet for a lot longer than some of the other people. Yeah. So I'm going to kind of work to maybe and it
have
it be nice when I'm older.
It could be an intergenerational climate corps too, which why not? There's plenty of elderly people who are like super passionate about
why turn away
the
people
Green New Deal.
Can I help you, please?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So this could resuscitate that as well. But in a bigger way, like if you just say, let's make a climate corps, then you have kind of like right wingers or oil people being like, who needs
it becomes
that?
A hot button.
Yeah.
Sure.
But if you say, let's have a year of civil service and military service, then you have this kind of big sweep. And then inside of that, you can be like, well, we need to mop up all these bodies we're going to have.
Yeah,
we're going to need more people or we need more things for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do a climate corps too. And then it's kind of like, okay, do a climate corps, whatever. Those hippies will plant some trees. It's all underneath that one rubric. Oh, man. Yeah, this is so cool. And it's better than any other country has. Like other countries, it's like, you're 18, show up. Or else, I don't like that very much. I really don't. Like I was in Germany and my host brother was like, I just have to go to this office. I have to go there. I have to spend a year like wiping butts in a nursing home or something. Wow. Or working, I think he worked in a kindergarten, but a lot of it's elder care and you care of children, which is great. But like he had to do it. And that felt to me like pretty un-American. It's not what America's about. America's about freedom.
Yeah, well, and I've seen that before too. When I would watch the UFC a lot before, and some of the fighters, like a South Korean fighter, had to stop fighting to go back to South Korea to do his military service, and came back and started up again later. But like in the prime of his fame, and his abilities, he's like, "Oh, sorry, gotta go."
Yeah,
it's not a choice.
This gives us like the choice. This gives us like the strength and the kind of the nationalism, which I don't love nationalism, but I mean. Pride in your nation. I don't think there's much wrong with that if it's not put to ill use.
I think helping out and fixing stuff is never going to be like characterizing that as the bad kind of nationalism. I think is probably not.
Right. It's a positive nationalism. Pride in your country. Hey, I'm whether for better or worse, this is the nation I am. Let's make it as good as possible. For everybody. Wow. Now that we talk about it, originally it was just this tiny idea.
We developed
it. It really is very full featured and very cool.
No, I like it.
I wonder if it could be a way to resuscitate the climate corps. That would get a bunch of activists, because a lot of activists for climate are really sad that got cut. They're not upset, but they're sad. There's grief there because they really wanted there to be this like way for young people who are super passionate to just get out there and do the work and have health insurance and be able to do this important work. This could resuscitate that, but in a way that might be able to bring, because it gives the gives some cannon fodder to the military. Maybe that helps the right wingers come along. It's really hard to recruit people for the military. It's really hard.
We have a ton of 61-year-olds who want to join the military now.
I think you got to be A1, right? I think you need to do a physical. Okay. So I don't think the 61-years are going to get let
61-year-old CrossFitters who are super in shape.
That's right. They're just drinking green smoothies every morning and just looking.
This is good. This is an intimidating idea.
Wow.
We just got to figure out who to sell it to, I think.
Oh man, I think it sells itself. Listen to that. You got so many angles that you can approach it. It's so positive. The Bernie Krats would love it. The right wing military, pro-military people would love it.
Well, I just mean who has the power to make this happen. We got to get them.
Oh, yeah. It's got to be some politician, I think, could stand up and try to do it, maybe. Try to say, hey, we're going to get... I mean, if Biden gets a second term, it'd be perfect for that. Because you could circle back around and say, hey, we didn't get the climate corps.
Right.
So let's do this bill that's like the civil service year bill, and it would have all these parts built into it for old people, for young people, for middle-aged people, climate core. Yeah, it could be. I mean, Biden's done a lot actually in this. I mean, I didn't think he was going to get as much done as he did. But yeah, so I mean, maybe if he gets a second term, this would be a good.
Keep going.
Yeah,
right.
Good thing. If they still have the Senate, they have 2 more. Don't they get 2 more reconciliation bills? Don't they get 2 a year or 2 every 4 years? I don't know.
I am not.
But I think they could do more reconciliation bills, which this would be a reconciliation bill, wouldn't it? Because it affects the budget, which means this could be up for reconciliation.
Okay.
Yeah, so it could be done.
That's how to do it.
It could be done even without even without any Republican support. You could do it.
We have to use one of our meetings with Joe Biden to talk about
this.
We
have one of those coming up.
We have several. We have a regular.
Did you buy the plane tickets for DC already?
I got Joe Biden on a Cameo. He's gonna send me on Cameo. He's sending me a 30-second message. And I just kind of put in the instructions. I'll slide the idea.
Yeah. Just put the link to this episode.
That's perfect. There we go.
That's good. Should we close it up?
I think that's it. That's good. Man.
Thanks everybody for riding along on that crazy ride. That was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Yeah. And if we missed something, go on Twitter. I really want to start this.
Oh yes.
Keep this Twitter conversation going.
Please. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Adam at AJ Braus.
Braus.
And I'm at Scott Maupin on Twitter, but we also have one for the show now, which is at Solutions FTM. Which stands for From the Multiverse.
FTM, yeah. And we can have a conversation on there. So you can tweet at any of those.
Reach out.
And
we'll reach back.
It'll be great.
Doesn't sound right.
Yeah. I think there's worse things, but that's pretty good.
Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Everybody. It's been great. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time. All right, bye.
Bye.
Hey there, thanks for listening to that episode of Solutions from the Multiverse.
Yeah, we're back with a little after roll. Hello.
Hey, after roll. Roll that after roll. So basically we want you to subscribe.
Yeah.
And rate and review and tell someone, like take your favorite solution and send it to someone who you think it would like blow their mind to hear it.
Yeah, we love making the show. We're proud of it. And we're excited. We want other people to show. We know that the main way people find podcasts is word of mouth. I know that's true for me. I listen to my friends who also listen to podcasts tell me about ones, and I go, okay, I'm cluing into that. So we want to be part of that chain.
So thanks for being a part of Solutions.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again real soon.
Bye.
Bye.